Imagine you are a Greek mercenary in the 5th century BC. You speak no Persian, you cannot read Aramaic, you do not worship the Persian gods, and you could not care less about the Persian king's family tree. But there is one thing you care about more than anything else. A gold coin weighing about 8.4 grams, stamped with the image of a kneeling archer. That coin is the daric. 1 daric is your monthly wage. 100 darics can buy you a farm. 1,000 darics can buy you a private army. Welcome to Finance Traveler, where we explore the epic stories of money, power, and capital across time. This story about money begins with a jar of gold coins forgotten beneath an ancient Turkish city. In 2023, archaeologists excavating the ancient city of Notion in western Turkey found a small, unremarkable pottery jar in the corner of a courtyard. Inside it was packed with a hoard of well-preserved Persian darics. The man who buried them was most likely a Greek mercenary. He had hidden his life savings in a hurry during the turmoil of the 5th century BC, intending to come back for them. He never returned. The fate of that unknown mercenary reveals the true nature of the Persian daric. It was not small change for buying bread. It was a strategic weapon. It was designed for one purpose: to pay armies, to buy allies, and to hold together an empire that stretched across 3 continents. The monetary story of Darius begins with a conquest. In 546 BC, Cyrus the Great, the founder of the Persian Empire, destroyed the kingdom of Lydia in Asia Minor. The Lydians had made a world-changing invention. They were the first people to mint gold and silver coins. The Lydian crosides were consistent in weight and purity, and they commanded high trust throughout the Mediterranean world. After Cyrus conquered Lydia, he did not abolish the local currency. The Persians made a pragmatic decision: let the Lydian coins keep circulating. Under Cyrus and his immediate successor Cambyses, the Persian Empire had no national coinage of its own. Trade within the empire relied on the existing currencies of conquered lands and on barter. Then Darius the Great came to power. He seized the throne in a bloody struggle, and the moment he became king, the whole empire erupted in revolt. The experience taught him a harsh lesson. A vast empire could not hold itself together by force alone. He realized that simply letting old coins circulate was not enough. Those coins carried the images of conquered people's gods and kings. Their credibility rested on regimes that no longer existed. Darius needed a new currency, a Persian currency, a system that every people in the empire, Persian nobles, Babylonian merchants, Egyptian peasants, Greek mercenaries, could recognize and trust. So around 510 BC, Darius launched a monetary reform. He did not abolish the old Lydian coins. He added a new Persian system on top of them. He borrowed from Lydian minting technology, but made one crucial upgrade. He created a brand new, purely Persian gold coin, the daric. The strategic logic was clear. Persian money, not the legacy of Lydia, would become the lifeblood of the empire. The Persians inherited Lydian minting techniques and scaled them up. In the imperial mints, gold was melted and poured into molds to form bars. After the metal cooled, workers hammered the bars into thin, uniform sheets. Then they used a punch-like tool to cut out circular blanks, the rough shape of a coin. The most critical step was striking. A worker placed the lower die, engraved with the archer design, on an anvil. He put a heated blank on the die, placed the upper die on top, and another worker swung a heavy hammer down with full force. That single blow stamped the archer's image into the gold forever. Every blank was weighed before striking to ensure uniform weight. Because each coin was struck by hand, every daric was slightly different in the position of its design and the force of the blow. That made each daric unique. The gold purity of the daric was raised to between 95.8 and 98%, far higher than the crosids that had come before. That meant the daric's value came almost entirely from the gold itself, not from any promise. Even if the Persian Empire fell tomorrow, anyone holding a daric would still own its weight in gold. That trustless quality made the daric a true hard currency. On the obverse of the daric was the image of a Persian warrior, kneeling on one knee, drawing his bow. The Greeks gave the coin a nickname, the archer. The reverse was an irregular incuse punch, the mark left by the minting process. The design was a visual declaration of imperial power. It told every person who held the coin the same thing. The empire behind this gold had unchallengeable military force and economic might. Darius created a bimetallic system. The gold daric was for international trade, large payments, and military pay. The silver siglos was for daily transactions and local economies. The exchange rate was fixed. 1 daric equaled 20 sigloi. Provinces could mint silver coins, and autonomous cities could mint copper coins. The right to mint gold belonged exclusively to the central government. But a currency is useless if it cannot move. Darius knew this well. He poured enormous resources into building a royal road across the empire. The road ran from Sardis in western Asia Minor eastward across Anatolia, through the Cilician Gates to Nineveh in Mesopotamia, then to Babylon, and finally to the imperial administrative centers at Susa and Persepolis. Its total length was about 2,699 kilometers. Darius established more than 111 stations along the road, each with fresh horses and messengers. A royal courier could travel the entire distance in 7 to 9 days. Before the royal road was built, the same journey took 90 days on foot. The Greek historian Herodotus wrote in wonder that nothing in the world traveled faster than the Persian couriers. His praise for them, that neither snow nor rain nor heat nor darkness could prevent them from completing their rounds, was later carved on the James Farley Post Office building in New York and became the unofficial motto of the United States Postal Service. The Royal Road was not just a channel for messages, it was a highway for money. The daric flowed along it from the western mints to eastern markets, from northern stations to southern ports. The movement of money carried goods, information, and people with it. The whole economy of the empire was linked together. Darius also standardized weights and measures and made Aramaic the official language of the empire. A merchant traveling from Egypt, carrying darics, following the royal road across Mesopotamia, through the Persian highlands, and finally to the border of India, used the same currency the whole way, faced the same weights and measures, and kept his books and signed his contracts in the same script. That was a true single market. Archaeological finds confirm that the darics circulated far beyond the borders of Persia. Darics have been found as far east as Samarkand and Termez, key points on the Western Silk Road, prove that the daric had become a medium for long-distance trade. The real power of the daric lay in a strange paradox. It was more popular among the Persians' enemies, the Greeks, than among the Persians themselves. Herodotus recorded that the daric was the highest denomination coin in the Mediterranean world. In a Greek city-state, a single daric was worth a soldier's monthly pay, enough to feed a family for a month. Its purity and consistent weight made Greek merchants willing to accept it, often more willing than to accept their own city's coins. During the Peloponnesian War, Persian gold became the decisive factor in the struggle between Athens and Sparta. In 407 BC, the Persian prince Cyrus the Younger donated 10,000 darics to the Spartan admiral Lysander, money that built a fleet. In 401 BC, Cyrus the Younger rebelled against his brother. He bribed the Spartan general Clearchus, hiring 11,000 Greek mercenaries. On another occasion, the Persian king sent 30,000 darics to the Theban general Epaminondas, enough money to buy an army. That cross-cultural trust made the daric a true world currency. The Greeks nicknamed it the archer. The name became almost generic for gold coinage. When Philip of Macedon issued his own gold coins, they were simply called Philippaioi, the Philippic darics. The silver siglos did not enjoy the same success. Archaeological evidence shows that sigloi circulated only in Western Asia Minor. They are often found mixed with Greek silver coins. Their influence never matched what Darius had hoped for. The reason was simple. In the Greek world, the Athenian owl had already built a strong reputation through Athens' trade network. Persian silver could not compete. But gold was different. Almost no Greek city-state had the capacity to mint large quantities of high-purity gold coins. Gold was scarce, and the Persian Empire had a steady inflow of gold from Asia Minor and Egypt. That resource advantage gave the daric a virtual monopoly on the high-end market, international trade, military pay, and political bribery. Darius's monetary system also embodied a subtle division of authority. Gold was minted by the center, silver was minted by the provinces, copper was minted by autonomous cities. That layered design gave the central government absolute control over monetary sovereignty while leaving room for local economic autonomy. Understanding the daric's monopoly on the high-end market raises a deeper question. If ordinary people never used darics in their daily transactions, and if they seldom used sigloi either, how did their economy work? The answer is that most ordinary people in the Persian Empire had no need for imperial currency at all. Darius's monetary system had a three-layer structure. At the top was the gold daric for strategic imperial payments, military wages, political bribes, international trade settlement. In the middle was the silver siglos for provincial tax collection and administrative payments. At the bottom, the peasant economy still ran on barter and local copper coins. In Egypt, farmers paid their land taxes in grain. In Mesopotamia, merchants settled large transactions with silver ingots. In remote regions, barter remained the norm. Tax revenues collected by provincial governors were converted into silver and sent to the center. The center paid its mercenaries in darics, and those mercenaries spent their darics on food and supplies in local markets. That was the only way darics entered the local economy, so the daric never appeared in ordinary daily transactions. But it influenced local economies indirectly through the cycle of pay and consumption. That is why the Persian monetary system is called top-down monetization. Money circulated mainly at the top levels of state governance. It never penetrated the capillaries of society. That was the fundamental difference between the Persian system and the later Greek and Roman monetary systems. The Athenian owl succeeded because Athens' trade network carried silver coins into every household. The Persian siglos never sank that low. That was not a failure of the Persian system. It was the original design. The daric was never meant for buying bread. It was meant for fighting wars. But the legend of the daric was not without its dark side. As the empire's power declined, the quality of the daric deteriorated. The later 4th issue darics were not only cruder in workmanship, but also higher in silver content, dropping from 96% purity to 88%. That debasement was a direct symptom of fiscal distress. As wealthy provinces like Egypt broke away, the empire's gold reserves shrank, and the mints were forced to lower purity to keep up production. More fundamentally, the daric's monetary trust never reached the grassroots. In Mesopotamia and Egypt, people long preferred to keep their accounts in silver ingots and their daily transactions in barter. Darius's monetary reform had built a monetary economy at the top of the imperial structure, but the daily lives of ordinary people still revolved around land, grain, and livestock. That reveals a profound truth about money. Trust in a currency cannot be decreed from above. It has to be accumulated day after day through use. The Persian monetary system never penetrated as deeply as the later Greek and Roman systems because it remained an imperial currency, a tool for ruling an empire, not a web connecting every cell of society. In 330 BC, Alexander the Great's army marched into Persepolis. The conqueror chose a simple and brutal solution. He confiscated all the darics, melted them down, and recast them into Macedonian gold coins bearing his own image. The circulation of the daric came to an end about 2 centuries after it had begun. But the real death of the daric was not caused by Alexander's furnace. It was caused by something more fundamental, the transfer of trust. As Alexander's army swept across the Persian highlands, the credit behind the daric collapsed. Merchants began to hesitate before accepting the coin. Soldiers began to wonder whether their darics would buy tomorrow's bread. When trust moved, the value of money moved with it. The story of a single gold coin traces the full arc of an empire's rise and fall. From the conquests of Cyrus, to the institutional innovations of Darius, to the final gleam of gold in Alexander's furnace, the daric witnessed the birth and death of the first true world currency. It also left an eternal lesson. The power of money has never come from the metal it is made of. It comes from the trust of the people who use it. When that trust disappears, the shiniest gold coin fades to nothing. Subscribe to Finance Traveler. We trace the flow of capital across centuries and help you navigate the future with clarity.